One leak was all it took to tear down years of loyalty, love, and unspoken tensions. When Camron exposed a private moment that was never meant for the world, Chrissy didn't just react, she detonated. Her meltdown sent shockwaves through the industry, and Jim Jones? He didn't stand by. He stood up and walked out. This isn't just a celebrity scandal, it's the unraveling of a legacy relationship under the pressure of betrayal, secrets, and raw emotions caught on camera. What really happened behind the scenes, and why did this leak feel like a final strike? The truth is deeper than a headline. And it's time to tell it. It all started on a seemingly normal Monday morning. Fans were scrolling through their feeds when an unexpected video surfaced, grainy footage showing Chrissy in a heated, emotional rant behind closed doors. The clip, just under a minute, was raw. No filters, no edits, just Chrissy pacing a hotel room, shouting into her phone, clearly unaware she was being recorded. But what made the video explosive wasn't just her anger. It was the name she kept repeating. "Camron, you told me it would never come out," she screamed. "You promised me this was handled." The video didn't just go viral, it detonated across timelines like a digital bomb. By lunchtime, it was trending in the top 3 across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Blogs lit up with headlines like, "Chrissy caught in private meltdown, Camron's involvement revealed?" "Jim Jones leaves hotel alone after explosive Chrissy argument." "Camron exposes Chrissy? Jim Jones reacts in silence." For longtime fans of the Dipset legacy and reality TV drama, it felt like the final fracture in a love triangle that had always simmered beneath the surface. The backstory mattered here. Chrissy and Jim had been through the ringer. From love and hip-hop proposals to viral clips of Chrissy confronting Jim about commitment, their relationship was always intense, public, passionate, and often unstable. Camron, once considered Jim's closest ally, had grown distant over the years. Rumors of beef, betrayal, and business tension had floated around, but nothing was ever confirmed. Until now, insiders close to the situation confirmed the leaked footage was over a year old. The setting? A luxury suite in Atlanta, the night before Jim's now infamous club appearance where he reportedly stormed out early. At the time, fans assumed he was tired or angry over payment disputes, but the truth? He'd just witnessed Chrissy explode over a conversation with Camron, a conversation about a deal gone wrong, and a secret that couldn't stay hidden. What was the secret? Whispers suggest it had to do with staged content, allegedly a plot to reignite Chrissy's brand by leaking a faked emotional moment, orchestrated between her and Cam for views. But the plan backfired when Camron decided to leak it himself. Without Chrissy's approval, the betrayal wasn't just personal. It was business. Jim, blindsided, had no idea Chrissy was working behind the scenes with Cam. When he found out, he didn't yell. He didn't post. He walked out of that hotel, and never looked back. A close friend of Jim's told the Shade Room Jim's been loyal to a fault. And when he saw they were playing games with his name, with his story, that was it. He bounced. Chrissy's reaction to the leak wasn't just frustration, it was fury. Not only had her private breakdown become public, but her involvement with Camron was now under a microscope. The internet ran wild with theories. Were Chrissy and Cam having an affair? Was the whole scandal part of a PR stunt? Did Jim know about any of this before the video surfaced? For once, there were more questions than answers. In the aftermath, Camron didn't deny the leak. In fact, he leaned into it. On Instagram Live, he chuckled and said, "Hey man, truth always comes out eventually. I just sped it up. No apology. No remorse. Just Cam being Cam, unapologetically messy." Meanwhile, Chrissy posted a cryptic message on her Instagram story: "People will use anything to tear you down. Even the things you thought were safe." She didn't name Cam. She didn't deny the footage. She didn't explain, and that silence? It said everything. The fans were divided. Some rallied behind Chrissy, calling out the invasion of her privacy. Others called her out for allegedly manipulating narratives behind Jim's back. But one thing was unanimous: everyone wanted to hear from Jim, but Jim didn't say a word. Not publicly. Not yet. Instead, he unfollowed both Chrissy and Camron, removed multiple couple photos from his grid, and posted a single quote that shook the fanbase: "Sometimes silence is the loudest betrayal." People didn't just speculate, they mourned. It felt like the end of an era. The Chrissy-Jim-Cam triangle had gone from music and reality TV gold to an emotional wreckage playing out in real time, and that was just the beginning. As the leak continued to dominate headlines, the energy around Chrissy, Jim Jones, and Camron shifted from pure shock to uncomfortable curiosity. Fans weren't just gossiping anymore, they were dissecting every past interview, every old social media post, every subtle look from love and hip-hop episodes was being rewatched like evidence in a trial. TikTok was flooded with mini documentaries. Twitter hosted threads longer than some news articles. YouTube creators broke down the scandal hour by hour. It had gone beyond the leak. This was now a public referendum on 3 decades of love, loyalty, and betrayal. Chrissy, under pressure, released a video, not through a publicist, not on a network, but on her own Instagram, black and white, shaky camera, no makeup. She looked exhausted. "This wasn't supposed to happen like this," she began. "I never thought something private, something painful, would be turned into content." She admitted to speaking with Camron about staging a scene, to remind people we're human, she said. But she denied any romantic connection and claimed Cam went behind her back by leaking the raw footage. "I didn't fake my pain. I just wanted to control my narrative. I made a mistake." It was the closest thing to an apology, but reactions were split. Some called her brave. Others called it deflection. Meanwhile, Camron did what Camron does best, stir the pot. He dropped a freestyle over the ether beat titled, "Leak Season." "I pressed record," she pressed her luck/told me, "Drop it later," but I said, "Nah, good luck." Fans were stunned. Some laughed. Others were disgusted. But everyone clicked play. Cam wasn't hiding. He was celebrating, but Jim? Still silent. That silence spoke volumes. He made no public statements, but behind the scenes, sources said Jim cut ties completely, blocked numbers, burned bridges, and quietly moved out of the shared penthouse he and Chrissy once called home. A longtime friend told Page 6, "He's done." That footage didn't just show betrayal. It showed she still let Cam play a role in her life, and that's a deal breaker. Public opinion began to shift heavily in Jim's favor. Memes about loyalty flooded the web. Rap fans who once called Jim emotional praised his restraint. More damaging for Chrissy was when a second video surfaced, this time showing her laughing with Cam in a hotel hallway, just hours before her alleged meltdown. "So we gonna cry now or after check-in?" Cam jokes in the clip. After, obviously, Chrissy laughs back. A boom. That was it. The narrative flipped completely. What fans thought was an authentic breakdown now looked like a manufactured moment. Turned PR disaster. Brands distanced themselves. A scheduled podcast appearance Chrissy had been promoting was cancelled. A luxury fashion brand unfollowed her and removed her campaign video from their site. Cam, unfazed, posted a meme of himself with the caption, "Y'all mad at me for being honest? No remorse. Just more noise." Meanwhile, a movement began online. Hashtags like #StandWithJim and #ManipUlatedMen trended. People, especially men, began sharing stories of being emotionally manipulated for image, status, or control. This wasn't just a hip-hop scandal anymore. It had become a cultural conversation. Mental health advocates weighed in. Relationship therapists made video responses. Even Charlemagne the God called it a cautionary tale for every man who lets love cloud his instincts. And then Jim finally spoke, not on social media, not in an interview, but on stage. At a surprise NYC show, Jim came out mid-set and addressed the crowd. "They tried to make me the fool, tried to turn my story into a punchline. But I'm still standing, stronger, wiser, and I don't need to explain myself to nobody." The crowd erupted. Cameras flashed. The moment trended instantly, and as his set ended, he dropped one last bomb. "Ain't no coming back from some betrayals. Some doors close forever." It was over. The love, the loyalty, the triangle. Chrissy and Jim were officially done, and the internet still wasn't ready for what was coming next. After the wave of reactions and the flood of commentary, many wondered what would come next. Would Chrissy issue a real apology? Would Jim expose more truths? Would Camron ever admit to crossing a line? But instead of clarity, the final act brought more fire. Just when the internet began to cool down, an unexpected drop reignited everything. A third clip leaked. This time, it was from a security camera in the same hotel. In the footage, Chrissy is seen entering Camron's suite around midnight, alone. No entourage, no cameras, no sign of anything being staged. What followed wasn't visible. The door shut, but the timestamp and location were clear. It contradicted everything Chrissy had claimed. Speculation turned into accusations. Commentators, fans, and even public figures now questioned if her relationship with Cam had always been more than just business. The betrayal Jim felt was now shared by a fanbase that had once rooted for Chrissy. Her silence after this clip was deafening. No post, no video, not even a story. Chrissy, once loud and defiant, had gone dark. Camron, however, was far from quiet. On an episode of his podcast, he smiled and said, "Y'all just now figuring out the truth? Damn, I thought y'all was smarter than that." He didn't confirm anything explicitly, but the smirk, the tone, and the timing said everything. The backlash was swift. Major blogs like The Shade Room and Hollywood Unlocked ran scathing headlines. Brands that had remained neutral finally made statements. One fashion sponsor said, "We do not support any form of emotional manipulation or deception, regardless of fame." And for Jim? This was the chapter he didn't need to narrate. The internet did it for him. Jim Jones became a symbol of resilience. He embraced the role quietly, posting a single message on X: "Sometimes God shows you what you didn't want to see, so you don't stay where you don't belong." The post went viral. More importantly, it set a tone. This wasn't just the end of his relationship, it was the beginning of something new. Jim poured his emotions into music. He released an EP titled "No More Maybes" that opened with a track featuring lines like, "You kissed the past, I kissed the pain / you chased the clout, I dodged the chains." The EP topped hip-hop charts. Fans connected with the vulnerability, the honesty, and the catharsis. Meanwhile, Chrissy's social presence remained non-existent. Rumors swirled that she had left New York entirely, checked into a wellness retreat, and was cutting ties with the industry. But even in her absence, the story lingered. Analysts and pop culture commentators turned this saga into case studies. Psychology podcasts debated the signs of toxic codependency. Relationship experts gave interviews on boundaries, betrayal, and emotional manipulation. Even celebrities chimed in. Cardi B tweeted, "Jim handled that like a real one. Silence be louder than a diss track." It was more than a scandal, it was a shift. A moment where the public sided with the one who walked away, not the ones who made the most noise. Jim's story began to transcend the drama. He was invited to speak at panels, appeared in interviews that focused not on the gossip, but on growth. When asked if he had any last words for Chrissy, Jim responded, "I wish her peace. I wish her clarity. But I don't wish her back." And that said it all. The legacy they built may never fully fade, but the trust, the bond, the loyalty, it shattered. The final image that fans remember? Jim on stage, mic in hand, eye steady. And Chrissy? Just a ghost in the footage of what used to be. Camron might have lit the match, but the explosion revealed more than just smoke. It revealed who stood tall when the ashes settled. And for Jim Jones, that was the real win. This wasn't just a celebrity fallout, it was a public unraveling of trust, loyalty, and the hidden cost of fame. Jim Jones walked through fire and came out standing tall, while the world watched every move, every silence, and every exposed truth. But this story isn't just about them, it's about you. Have you ever trusted someone who played you for attention? Have you been in a situation where loyalty was repaid with betrayal? Drop your experience in the comments. Real people, real emotions, real stories. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this is just the beginning. We're diving deep into the truths they try to hide and giving you the real, raw breakdowns no one else will say out loud. Like and share if you believe walking away is sometimes the strongest move you can make. This isn't gossip. It's accountability, and in a world built on appearances, we're here to expose what's real, one story at a time.